Imagine the American continents before 1492. Vast forests in the east, seas of grass in the west, deserts where rivers cut green valleys, snowy Andes rising toward the sky. Across this landscape lived tens of millions of people, farming, hunting, building, trading, storytelling. They were not a single nation, but hundreds, each with its own language, traditions, and history. From the great cities of the Aztec and Inca to the mound builders of the Mississippi to the Haudenosaunee Confederacy in the Northeast, Native America flourished with governments, art, and innovation long before Europeans arrived. But after 1492, waves of disease, conquest, and colonization shattered these worlds in what became one of the greatest falls in human history. So how did Native American civilizations rise into flourishing societies, and why did their fortunes collapse so catastrophically? The Americas were first settled at least 15,000 years ago as ancestors of modern native peoples spread across two vast continents. Over time, they adapted to every environment: tundra, desert, rainforest, mountain. Agricultural revolutions reshaped life. In Mesoamerica, ancient farmers domesticated maize, beans, and squash. In the Andes, potatoes and quinoa became staples. These crops supported growing populations and permanent villages. In North America, complex societies arose. The Ancestral Pueblo built adobe cities like Chaco Canyon. The Mississippians constructed monumental earth mounds at Cahokia, where tens of thousands lived. Trade networks stretched thousands of miles, exchanging shells, obsidian, copper, and stories. Civilizations rose independently, but with remarkable sophistication: calendars, astronomy, agriculture, and governments. In central Mexico, the Mexica people founded Tenochtitlan in 1325 on an island in Lake Texcoco. Within 2 centuries, it was one of the world's largest cities, home to perhaps 200,000 people. Causeways linked its districts, aqueducts watered crops, markets buzzed with trade. The Aztec Empire grew powerful, demanding tribute from surrounding regions. Religion centered on the sun, with rituals of sacrifice meant to sustain the cosmos. For outsiders, it was terrifying. For insiders, it reinforced identity and destiny. Far to the south, in the Andes, the Inca Empire stretched thousands of miles across mountains and deserts. Roads rivaling Rome's linked the empire. Messengers could transmit orders hundreds of miles in days. Terraced agriculture turned cliffs into farmland. Storehouses guaranteed supplies. At its height in the 15th century, the Inca ruled millions from their capital at Cusco, seeing their rulers as children of the sun. North of Mesoamerica, nations thrived. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy united 5 nations through democratic governments that inspired later political thinkers. Plains nations like the Pawnee and Lakota blended farming and hunting, adapting to vast grasslands. Coastal tribes fished salmon runs and built plank longhouses. Together, these formed a tapestry of civilizations, diverse, connected, and enduring. In 1492, Christopher Columbus arrived in the Caribbean, initiating a turning point. Contact with Europeans unleashed waves of catastrophe. Disease devastated native populations. Smallpox, measles, influenza, and plague swept across the Americas faster than the conquerors themselves. Without immunity, entire communities collapsed. Historians estimate that in some areas, up to 90% of the population perished. Conquest followed. In 1519, Hernán Cortés arrived in Mexico. By 1521, the Aztec capital lay in ruins. In 1532, Francisco Pizarro marched into the Andes. Within a few years, the Inca Empire collapsed. Steel swords, guns, horses, combined with disease and rival alliances, toppled vast empires. Colonization spread. The Spanish in Mexico, Peru, and the Southwest, the French along the Mississippi, the English across the Atlantic coast. Native people were enslaved, displaced, or forced into missions. The fall was swift, brutal, and for many, apocalyptic. Yet Native America did not disappear. Native peoples resisted, adapted, and survived. In the north, Powhatan, Tecumseh, and other leaders resisted English colonists. In the southwest, the Pueblo revolts of 1680 expelled Spanish rule, if only for a generation. In the Great Plains, nations adapted to horses brought by the Spanish, becoming skilled riders and hunters. Even under pressure, native traditions endured. Stories, ceremonies, and languages continued. Villages rebuilt. Warriors fought for survival, farmers replanted, and family networks endured. Many native communities reshaped themselves, adopting trade with Europeans, forging alliances with colonial powers, even playing rivals against each other. Survival required creativity and determination. From the 17th through the 19th centuries, native nations faced relentless erosion of sovereignty. Colonial wars, broken treaties, and waves of settlers pushed tribes off ancestral lands. The Trail of Tears forced the Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Chickasaw, and Seminole westward. Plains peoples were crushed by the U.S. cavalry in the late 1800s. Canada confined First Nations to reserves. Spanish and Portuguese crowns imposed mission systems in South America. By the dawn of the 20th century, native lands had been absorbed into expanding modern states. Once autonomous empires and confederacies existed largely under colonial authority. Though Native America's fall was devastating, its legacy remains profound. Crops first cultivated by indigenous farmers, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, cacao, transformed global diets. Words, place names, and traditions spread across continents. Today, Native people continue to revitalize languages, rebuild cultural practices, and fight for sovereignty. Oral traditions keep epics like the story of Sundiata in West Africa alive, just as Native American stories keep elders' wisdom alive. The rise and fall of Native America is not only a story of loss, it's a story of survival. When we remember Native America, we see not vanished peoples, but civilizations that rose, flourished, endured catastrophe, and still live today. Their rise and fall reminds us that no society is immune to upheaval, yet no society is erased so long as its memory survives.